They define what dating is supposed to be. It's the interaction between two people, but within their interaction, their interaction, there needs to be God, and that is factual thing. But what I want to focus on right now, because we mentioned what dating is supposed to, what we're supposed to do in dating. I want to focus on what we're supposed to do beforehand. What we're supposed to do beforehand, and I got this content, most of my content that I'm about to give you, from my brother Diakon Henok, who taught about this subject a while back, and it really hit home for me. And hopefully, you guys are interested and as engaged as I was with this teaching. Like Cassis Abbas mentioned, dating is not a passage of time, nor something that we do for fun or pleasure only. It's supposed to be something that would lead us towards something. And most of us fail in relationships. Like, we start a relationship, we jump into a relationship, and without lasting not too long, we get out of it and we become single again. And that is because we're not taking the right steps towards relationship. So what steps are we supposed to take before we get into a relationship? We need to take four. There is four steps that we need to take before we get into a relationship. And the perfect example for this is Adam and Eve. When God created Adam and Eve, and before he brought them into the union of marriage, God blessed a life with self. Key here, a life with self. I don't want to call it a single life, because the way we define a single life is completely different than a life with self. A single life is what we considered, having fun, going out, meeting whoever we want, talking to whoever we want. That's the type of mentality that we have when it comes to being single, but that's not what we want right now. What we need right now is a life with self, and that's what God blessed before he gave union to Adam and Eve. He created Adam by himself, and he blessed his life with self so that he can prosper in the life of union. So when Adam was created, he had four factors to his life with self. Life with self. Those four factors are: one, he was with God in the garden. Number one, he was by himself in the Garden of Eden with God. Two, he was working. You can refer back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. He was working. He was gardening the Garden of Eden. Crazy. Garden of Eden, Eden is already perfect, but he was gardening it. He was working. Three, he was given authority. God created everything, and he gave him the authority to name everything, to define everything, to see what he wants to see within the world. And imagine, nobody would ever do that. Imagine having a company and then having one of your friend name it whatever they want and run it the way they want. That would never happen. But God loved what he created, and he wanted to see what Adam got. So he gave him an authority to define what was around him, essential. Three. Four, he was resting. He was at rest. Four things that we need to focus on. So God, for the very first time, so right after this, when he was resting, for the very first time in all of his creation and all of his work, he said these words: "It's not good." He created everything. After every creation, God said, "This is good." It says God created the heavens and the earth, and he said it was good. So for everything he said good, but right on Genesis chapter 2, around verse 17 or so, God says it is not good. And the only time he said it is not good is for Adam to be lonely. He saw that he was lonely, and he said it's not good for a man to be by himself. God has given him an opportunity. He blessed the life of self, and then he saw that he needed a partner. So when he was at rest, he thought it's not good for a man to be alone. But it was after he completed the four steps or the four factors of living with self that God wanted to add this factor into his life. It's not good to be for a man to be alone. So our life, or our journey towards relationship should consist of these four steps. I hope everybody's following along. We're about to go through them really fast. One, a life with God. Before anything else, before we even think about having anybody in our life, we need to think about our life with God himself, our relationship with God himself. Like, as he said, we can date, but what is your life like alone? Who are you right now? Who are you with right now? Are you with God, or are you by yourself, or are you just wanting somebody in your life? The problem is that we integrate somebody into our own life without having God in it. And relationship and dating can only be good, like Assis Abai said, if God is right in the middle of our relationship. If God is not there, this dating will end up being a failure. So God, is God with you? So is the life of God with you? A person must spend a long time with God. You must build your spiritual life to be a complete being, to be a complete person. You have to be a complete person before you bring another complete person into your life. Without being complete, how are you going to bring somebody else? If you're empty, what do you have to offer? And then the only way you can be a complete person is if you're physically up to date. That means you're old enough and you're ready to date. But as your spiritual life ready to accept another spirit, because you're not the union of two people is not just physical but spiritual as well. So are you ready? Are you mature enough to bring in another complete person? So you must make sure that you're complete in both senses, not just physically but spiritually as well. And the only way you can do that is when God is with you. Be with self, as St. Paul said. This is why St. Paul wanted his followers to be alone. If possible, you need to be by yourself. If possible. But if you can't handle it, you can get married. But if possible, you should be by yourself, because when we are with somebody, the only person that we think about is our beloved. We want to make them happy. We want to do everything to make them comfortable. But if you're by yourself, the only focus that you have is God. So when you are alone with God, you want to please him at all times. You want to serve him at all times. You want to make sure you have a good relationship with it. But if you have somebody else in your life, it's very difficult to focus on God. So life with God is essential for your relationship, for your journey towards relationship. Secondly, he was working. You need to be working on yourself. You need to not just spiritual, but physically, what are you doing? What do you have to offer? Are you emotionally, physically, and spiritually ready? All these things matter. So you need to be working. You need to exercise yourself. You need to be ready physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Adam was working in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden was perfect. It was made for him perfect. Everything was there, but yet he was working. God blessed work when he created the world. He said he created the world in 6 days. On the seventh day, he rested. That's blessing work. And Adam was working in the Garden of Eden. Work is important. What do you have going? What's your goals? What are you working on? So that really needs to show. That's 2. 3, God has given authority to Adam. So when he gave him authority, he recognized everything that was around him and he named everything. He labeled everything. This is a cow. This is that. He named everything, every little thing. And he saw everything was coupled up. Every animal that he named was coupled up. So he named everything. So what is the next thing that you need to do is you need to recognize what is around you. What is around you? You need to be self-aware. You need to recognize everything that is around you. This means you need to identify your surroundings, who you are involved with, who has a say in your day-to-day actions, your thought process, who are your friends. Are you in charge of your own life? Are you in charge? Do you have authority over your life, or are you just a vessel that is driven by influences? You need to figure that you need to be in charge of your own life. You need to know who you are first. Well, I am a man with God and I'm here to serve him. I'm working at, this is my goals. Now you have authority. You're ruling over everything that you have around you. Most people have an unlabeled surroundings. They don't even know who is around them, whether those friends that they have, the family members that they have, whether they're driving them away from God or keeping them close. You need to identify that. If they're bringing you closer to God, you're succeeding. But if they're straying you away, if they're not good influence for you, if you're not identifying your surrounding, you're failing. There is a lot of, especially when it comes to talking stage and dating, there's a lot of people that say, especially boys and girls are like friends, guys and girls, and then whenever you ask them like, hey, what's going on? What's your situation with, what's her name? What's your situation with, what's his name? What's going on? Are you all dating? And you're like, no, we're just friends. Ara, asu, wandimeno. Yes, he is. He could be a wandom. He's also a man, or he's also a one. So you need to enable that. Most people do, especially when it comes to friends, the friend zone thing. It's really confusing because it's not labeled. It's very confusing. They'd be doing things that couples would do and still tell you that they're friends. Like, it really doesn't make sense. That is unlabeled something. One of those people are going to end up being hurt. And you need to know your surrounding. What is going on? What is my relationship around myself? What did I surround myself with? Am I in charge of this lifestyle? This is what it means to be alone. Identifying who you are and being in charge of your own life. You need to do this before you involve somebody else into a relationship. Fourth, he was at rest. When he was naming all the animals, when he was doing his duty, when he was given the authority to name all the animals, he saw every animal that came to him were coupled up. And then he realized that he was by himself. But he didn't let this affect his service, his way of life. He still did his job and rested. He entrusted God for his life. He said, I trust the lifestyle that you have given me. At the right time, I'm sure you're going to give me. When it's right time, I'm going to act. Most of us lose sleep whenever we desire something, especially when we desire somebody. We can't eat, we can't sleep, we can't drink anything. We're just phased off. We lose all track, especially if we're talking to somebody and they don't text us for a day. The whole day, our day is messed up. We're just thinking about, I wonder what they're doing right now. We lose sleep. We lose sleep. And that is not okay. That shouldn't be the way. Adam left everything. He entrusted. If it's the right person, if God wanted me this way, I will be this way. If God wants somebody for me, I'm sure the time will come when I'm ready. I'll find that person. He was at rest. When he saw this, when God saw that Adam was doing his responsibility, he made sure he gave him what he needed. He said, it's not good for a man to be alone, and I'll give him his helper. And he gave him Eve. And he was complete after that. So we shouldn't be forcing anything. We need to be at rest emotionally. You know, if Adam, like, this is a funny thing. If Adam actually demanded God, like, I want this. All the animals were coupled up. I want another a couple, like, I want to be a couple like everybody else. And if he demanded and God obliged, was like, what do you want? Adam would have probably chosen what was the most attractive creation at the time, which was the serpent. He would have been like, okay, I want the serpent. Imagine. And that's how we will be if we're just demanding things. If we force certain situations, if we force ourselves into a relationship, we end up with somebody that is toxic. We bring toxic into our life. We shouldn't be forcing anything. We should be at rest. We know our worth. We know who we are. Therefore, at the right time, that person will come, and then we'll plug ourselves in. Right there, we'll be complete. That's the way we need to have our mentality. This is the very first step. What next? What next? Show patience and maturity. We're done with the 4 steps of being how to live alone. But now next, what we need to start thinking about before we start getting into a relationship. We need to have patience and maturity. Don't start dating because you feel there's something missing in your life, or because everyone around you is coupled up, or you watch, cute romantic movie, or because you want somebody to acknowledge you or give you attention. This is our biggest mistake. We see a lot of influence around us, and it really hurts our spiritual life. Just as a hungry person just eat whatever he sees first, we tend to grab a person that is like the closest to us, or the next person that hits us up or slides in our DM. We just grab on that, and then we go from there because we feel like there's something missing, and that is not a good way that's not a good way to go about your relationship. Be patient. Be patient. Instead, mature with patience, which can come through time and age only. You need to be mature. You need to be ready. You need to prepare yourself, because our personality fluctuates. It changes time and time, especially as a young person. If you're around 16, after 6 months, the way you think becomes completely different. At 19, the way you think becomes completely. At 20, completely different. At 21, even more different. It becomes completely different. That's not okay. That's not a good thing. So you need to know you are ready, you are mature, and you are ready to host somebody within your life. And then our forefathers described this maturity using the Gospel of Matthew chapter 7 verse 25. About how a person builds a house on top of a sand and on top of a bedrock. He said the person that built it on top of a sand, the wind blew. The wind blew. Wind kind of separates the seed from the galaba, or in English, or wind moves very silently. So at some point of our life, we desire to be unseen, kind of like wind. It's unseen. You hear it, but it's unseen. So we want that single life. We want to be alone. God, I want to serve you by, without being seen. I want this monkhood. I don't want to be seen by the world. I want to move around without being seen by the world. We desire monkhood. But after a little while, we change up. A rain descends, right? That's the next step. The rain descends and it becomes very fruitful. It gives fruit. And we want to be fruitful. We're like, forget about being single and serving you, but now I want to be in a relationship and serve you the way Abraham did. You blessed the seed and he blessed the whole universe. I want to be fruitful. I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a good marriage, right? And then when that doesn't work out, it goes to the next level, which is, it says, the wind blew, the rain descended, and the floods came. When that flood moves uncontrollably, we're like, oh, single life, monk life didn't work for me. Relationship didn't work for me. I'm just going to do whatever pleases me. Love doesn't exist. Single life sucks, so I'm just going to do whatever I want. We get into that mindset, which is disruptive. It says the wind blew, the rain descended, and the floods came and hit the house, and the house fell, and the fall was brought. The fall was great. It was a great fall. It was a disaster. So if we don't understand, if we don't mature enough, if we don't build ourselves as a bedrock, our whole relationship will fall. And the only way to do that is to become strong spiritually and physically. And I always mention that in every lesson that we do here, being strong physically as well as mentally. Be a bedrock. Make sure you're strong enough to carry a relationship. Make sure you're strong enough to pursue what you want and follow through everything that you had promised. So that's one thing. Next thing, learn how to be selfless. This is really important. Let me check how long we have. We only have 3 minutes. We only have 3 minutes. Should we continue? Should I close it down and then restart the whole thing? I don't know if we'll shut down. I can't see your comments. So we'll try to go about it, and then if it cuts off, it cuts off, and I'll try to restart it again because we only have 3 minutes. I'll continue. Next step. After being mature, we need to learn how to be selfless. This is what really hurts us. Focus on making sure you're the best possible person, the best possible person you can be before you seek the best possible person out there. Most of us, without us being even perfect, we seek that as something that is perfect, and that's where we go wrong. And that's not wrong. That's not right. We all have a list as to what we want. We all have that list. Whether you're a guy or a female, if you're asked like, what do you look for in a relationship? I know a guy is probably like, somebody, that is beautiful, somebody that can cook, somebody that can feed me. When I'm hungry and I'm feeling lonely, she gives me that gursha, this beautiful gursha she gives me. Sir, you're not looking for a life partner. You're looking for a mom. It doesn't work. Get that me out of your system. And then if you ask the girl, she's like, I want a guy that would take care of me, buy me things, carry me so strong enough. He's a bearded man. He's a beautiful man. This is what I want. You're not looking for the right person. You're looking for a social worker. Social worker. That shouldn't be the intention that we have within. You need to be selfless. Are you ready to sacrifice yourself? Are you ready to offer somebody what you expect people to offer you? That's what you need to do. What you need to think about. Get this me thing about me. This person should be in my life to complete me in a certain way. That shouldn't be your mentality at all. Think bigger. Think what can I offer? 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 7 says, love does not seek its own. It doesn't seek self. It seeks sacrifice. Love is about sacrifice. The gain and the loss. That's what love is. The gain and the loss. And that's what Christ showed us. With him dying, we gained his love. With him, he showed us by dying, he gained us. He gained us. He gave us salvation. Through his death, we gained his love, salvation. That's what true love is supposed to be. Are you ready to give anyone a true love, a true sacrifice? Are you really selfless? Are you really going to sacrifice your time, your effort, who you are as a person? Are you ready for that type of commitment? You're not. We're not. We're really not. We're too selfish. We only think about us. There's a story about a young man fishing, and a monk approaches him and he asks him, young man, what are you doing? And the young man replies, Father, I'm fishing. And the father goes, why? And the young man replies, because I love fish. I love fish. I love eating fish. I love fish. And then the monk goes, if you love fish, if you love it, why would you kill it? Why would you kill it? We are fishing for people every single day. We trap them and we lure them towards our life and hurt them, kill their spirits. Why? Because we're not ready to offer anything. We lure people into our life and we kill them. We destroy their spirits. That type of relationship is not okay. That type of dating is not a spiritual dating. You're not ready to be with anybody. Make sure you're luring somebody when you're ready to be selfless. Ask yourself. This is the biggest question that you need to ask yourself to make sure that you're ready. Are you the person you're looking for is looking for? Are you the person that you're looking for? The person that you're looking for, that you desire, is looking for. The person that you like, are they looking for you? Are you the person that they would be looking for? If we're ready, if you're ready, then you are ready to involve somebody else. If we can't answer this question confidently, then we're really not ready for a relationship. It's most certainly that relationship will fall. I don't know how long we have, but we'll move on to the next one. Protect your heart. This is really essential, guys. Protect your heart. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, avoid temporary relationship above all. This is what Proverbs 4 says. Above all, guard your heart. The heart is the most essential thing. Most of us, we fall into, oh, we're just talking. I kind of mentioned it. We're just talking. It's nothing serious. But we don't know, what trap that is set for us by a different person. Protect your heart. This temporary get-togethers, nothing serious conversation, texting like 10, 15 people at the same. You don't know who you're gonna fall for, and who you're gonna give your heart to. Your heart is going to be squashed. You have to protect your heart. Your heart is the most essential part of you, the most essential possession. Because like I mentioned before, God desires the heart. The heart is everything that we have. We must manage it well. It's like a diamond. If diamond was found everywhere like a rock, it wouldn't be valued. Because it's rare, we value it. The heart is like that. Once it's captured, it's impossible to take it out of the grasp of people. People would grab your heart and squander it, and there is no recovery from it. So let's avoid temporary relationships, temporary relations with anybody. Avoid that. Be in charge of your own life. Be in charge of your own heart. And take everybody seriously, because you don't know who you're going to be leading on, or if you're going to be led on. You really don't know. So take every conversation seriously. And this goes back to the third thing about being single. You need to make sure what is around you is defined. You need to make sure who you're talking to is, friendship. This is friendship. What we have is friendship. There is nothing more. So make sure you identify that. Avoid giving your heart away for a temporary time. Because your heart will stay with you. That experience, you giving away your heart, will stay with you for a very long time. The next question that I want to talk about is about soulmate. A lot of people ask me, soulmate, do we have soulmates? Did God, create for us that specific soulmate? Should we be seeking that person? Soulmate. Did God create one person for me? The answer is no. Shocking. No. We don't have one specific person that is made for us. And then we have an anxiety trying to figure out who that is. When will I meet that person? Where would I meet that person? I wonder what they're doing right now. They're probably texting somebody. I bet they're texting somebody. I hate them so much. They're such horrible. So that anxiety that our soulmate is out there somewhere doing something without us really hurts us. It gives us a certain anxiety. There is no such thing as one soulmate. Like, God created one person for you. And this is why that is wrong. Reasons as to why soulmate is fictional. 1, there are 7 billion people. How will you find her or him? 7 billion people out there. How are you going to find the one? 2, the ratio of men and women are not the same. There's one too many on one side, one too many one too less on the other one. That means somebody was born without a soulmate. That means God did not do his job. And if somebody was to marry your soulmate, that means you're gonna marry somebody else's soulmate. Now the whole equation is messed up. God has messed up the whole equation. It doesn't work like that. Two, think about monks. Monks become monks. They isolate themselves from the world by choice. So monks chose not to be in a relationship with any woman, to be single the rest of their life, to just be married to the church. That means they became monks because God didn't create for them a soulmate. That means they shouldn't get any credit for the sacrifice that they have made. It wasn't by choice, but it was, God didn't create a soulmate for them. That means they're just single. That means no credit for them. That's three. Four, if somebody loses their spouse within our church, it's allowed for somebody to remarry. If somebody was married to one person and that person, their spouse dies, he is allowed to remarry so that he can avoid fornication or that, lust and stuff like that. So if does God create multiple soulmates for a person just in case somebody dies? And after that person dies, when he remarries with the person that he remarried, were they bench warmers the whole time? How would that work? There is no such thing as soulmate, but not to fear. God has a plan. What God wants from us is that we have multiple choice. We have multiple choice. There is a lot of people that is fitting for us. God has made everybody that has God at the center of their life are people who can be with us. People who can be we can be in a relationship with. That's what we need to think about. The God has prepared so many options for us, and we choose from those people. God has made, these people are spiritually strong. They're a complete person. That means they can be our life partner. If God is at the center of their life, there's a possibility that they are a possible partner for us. We just have to choose very, very wisely. This would lead us to the next question. Can we date people outside of our faith? And I got that a lot. The song አንቺም በሃይማኖትሽ እኔም በሃይማኖቴ መኖር እንችላለን አይጠበንም ቤቴ አንቺም በሃይማኖትሽ እኔም በሃይማኖቴ መኖር እንችላለን አይጠበንም ቤቴ doesn't work. Member Mratab said it here in Las Vegas. I'm going to repeat it. This song does not apply within our relationship. The Teddy song that we listen to all the time that we love, it doesn't work in this content. Who we need to be with is who we're going to end up being marrying. Because like Aziz Abba said, every relationship needs to lead to marriage. If it doesn't, that relationship is a failure in itself. If it doesn't lead us to a relationship. And the only way a marriage or a relationship is recognized if the marriage has happened in the house of the Lord.
Lord, make sure you disable the comments again.
We're almost done, guys. Almost done. Like this close. We're like 2 seconds away. We're almost done. And then we're going to close it with a beautiful hymn with our beautiful sister, Lydia. I think almost everybody's back. Pretty much close. We're getting there. Everybody's back, and I'll continue. What was I saying? I always lose track when Instagram decides to hate on us. አንቺም በሃይማኖትሽ እኔም በሃይማኖቴ መኖር እንችላለን አይጠበንም ቤቴ. George, how did you know that song? It was weak times. It was a difficult time. I was a young man. I'm not even gonna go through it. I'm not gonna talk about that. Not necessary, but I know that song and I've heard it before. That doesn't work because a marriage can only be recognized if it happens within the boundaries of the holy matrimony, within the boundaries of the church. And that's the only way God recognizes our marriage or God recognizes our relationship. So we need to keep that in mind. Make sure that we understand that. Last point, and I really love this point. And this is something that I struggled with as well. Can we have standard for the person that we have when we marry? Is it okay to have high standards, high expectations? Like, this is the person I want to marry. They need to you know, they need to have certain standards, because we're not just marrying somebody spiritually, but physically as well. One thing that I want to mention before I get into this point, I'm not saying that, you know, the only reason that I'm, you know, the only thing that I don't like within this little content is that, don't think of this as like having standards just physical. If you have physical standards only or worldly things, you're failing. And just putting, for the sake of putting God in there, like, I need him to be God fearing, but we don't really mean it. I want him to be God fearing. Or I want her to be, God fearing. That's not true. We don't really want that. Don't have that in mind. Are they spiritually strong? It looks like, you know, are they gonna, you know, be with me when I'm growing spiritually? That needs to be the priority of these things. But outside of that, it's okay to have standards for your partner. To have high standards is not a bad thing. In fact, that is supported. That nobody rejects this idea. It is supported. You need to have a high standard, because you need to keep yourself to high standards as well. People one time or another have, you know, told us, definitely told me, your standards are way too high. You're gonna die alone because your standards are too high. You're gonna end up being by yourself the rest of your life because you have, you know, such a high standard. Don't listen to that. That's nonsense. Don't listen to that, because our canon says, this is not to kind of justify how we are, but our canon says that we must visit 7 markets before we decide. This doesn't mean necessarily, when it says visit 7 markets, it doesn't mean you go to Walmart 7 times, or go to Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and Ross, and see your life partner. No, that's not what it means. Market is where people usually meet back in the day. So go to a market 7 times before you decide who you want to spend your life with. You need to be cautious of who you choose, and that's what the canon of our church says, and that's the canon that we need to follow. We need to have a certain standard, and I'm gonna be patient and look for the right person. I have made myself available. I have made myself complete. My spiritual life seems stable. My work, my emotions are ready to accept somebody else into my life. Now I expect that person to be in the same way. I am the person that I'm looking for is looking for. Therefore, I'm ready to date. So once we do this, you know, it's okay to have that standard for somebody else. You must seek what is perfect for you, and to whom you are perfect for. You must seek somebody that is perfect for you and to whom you are perfect for, and that's okay. To aim for high, to have high standards, because think of it this way: if a prince and a princess were to become of age, they would seek what is this parallel to them, a prince and a princess. For example, if a prince is ready, the only person that he wants is a princess. And if she becomes of age, she's going to look for a prince, because that's her value, because she values herself, or the boy values himself. You understand what I mean? So we need to be the same way, because they're children of God, so that they're children of kings. Therefore, they're going to have high standards. Are we not children of kings? Are we not a child of a king? The king, in fact, the King of Kings. We're a child of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the ruler of all the world, the universe. We are children of God, who is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. We are prince and princesses of God. Therefore, we must seek our prince and our princesses. We must have a high standard. With that, I'll leave you with Sabat al-Ghazabir. This is the very first part. I did not know how in depth we can go with this. The subject is very, very deep. There is so much in there. I literally took a small portion of it, especially most of the content coming from Diakon Henok's teaching. Incredible teaching. And this is only the first part. Hopefully, my sister Lydia is still on. I'm going to allow the comment section so that she can join me. Once she sings, we'll be finished. If you have more questions, don't worry. You can send it to me. This is not the last of the dating series. We'll have more. Coming up. There's going to be a part 2 to this. This is not the end. This is not the last episode of Relationship or Orthodox Mingles. Hopefully we learned something from it. Qasis Abbay, truly amazing in what he did. Hopefully Lydia is still on. Yes, she is. Thankful.
We'll come back.
ቃሎት ያሰማልን ብለናል.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Okay, so I start. I'm gonna change it up. I'm doing Amarinya because I saw some comments saying
You too,
no
Amar.
English, please.
We have a lot of people that join from Ethiopia, so that's why.
Oh, okay. እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው ኃጢአቴን ሳስበው ልቤ ይጨነቃል ካንተ መለየቴ ነፍሴን አርክማታል ወደ አንተ መልሴ እኔ መለሳለው እውነተኛ ሰላም ያለው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው ለቅዳሴው ጸሎት ዘውትር እንዳልጠጋ በአደባባይ ቆሜ ስምህን እንዳልጠራ ተሰነካክዬ ወድቄአለሁና እርዳኝ አማኑኤል በሃይማኖት ልጽና እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው ጌታ ሆይ ጸጸቴን እንባዬ ተቀበል አባቴ ነኝ በለኝ እኔም ልጅ ነኝ ልበል ዘይት ሳላዘጋጅ ድንገት መተህብኝ በርህን በመዝጋት ከደጅ አታስቀረኝ እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እውነተኛው ሰላም ያለው ከቤት ነው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው እርዳኛ ልናወጥ ለምንሃለው
Thank you so much, Bennett. Zimari Malak Tasamalin. May you hear the hymns of the angel. We do thank you so much for coming in tonight. Really means a lot. Everybody has, enjoys your wonderful service. May God bless you. Thank you. Have a blessed night. With that, we'll conclude today's service. Hopefully, we got something from it. It was honestly a wonderful. I didn't expect it to turn out in the way that it did. Having Cassis Abbai here to bless us and to give us wisdom. Honestly, it touched my heart. I'm so grateful and thankful for him, for the word of God that he gave us. We'll continue this tomorrow.